our citizenship. In that song, you find the essence of that patriotism that is required to drive us to the pinnacle of development. As you reminisce on this morning, remember that the radio man has come with another history class, a class of politics, a class of power. It is Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. I am Edmundo Billo. Good morning. The program is State Affairs.
State Affairs with Edmundo Billo is live.
Was Babangida Machiavellian?
Can you unpack that for me? What do you mean by that?
You know, some have called him Maradona, some have called him evil genius. Did he deceive Chinua Achebe, Soyinka, and J.P. Clark?
No, I don't think he did. So, in the lead up, just a few days before that, the execution of Vatsa and the other suspects, I know we're discussing these three authors, but they were not the only people who appealed to Babangida for clemency. Several people came to him and asked him to commute the sentences, and I think personally he wanted to. Babangida's own wife, Mariam, even appealed to him for clemency, and he wanted to. So she even tried to get a note to him while the AFRC, the Armed Forces Ruling Council, was discussing the verdicts. There's also another Babangida aide, a civilian, who said that Babangida actually asked him to go to the Bible, to go to the Quran, and find passages about mercy and clemency in those religious books. So, and again, this was just before the execution, so very, very clearly, Babangida was moving or was personally in favor of clemency, but again, he had to keep his own men happy. There were those who said, look, the precedent has been set in 1966. If you plot a coup against the government, you must be executed. We cannot have an exception here. And the only reason why you are gravitating towards mercy is because your best friend is involved. So to some extent, he had to accede to their demands to demonstrate that he was not showing bias and nepotism in this particular coup simply because he didn't want his best friend executed.
Perhaps you are referring to the Plateau bloc in the military. What was good for Dinka should be good for Vatsa.
Exactly. So,
State Affairs with Edmundo Billo is live.
They were friends. It's about the weight of power. They marched through the sands together as young officers. Their boots mashed the ground with that loyalty and trust to the Nigerian state. In the barracks, laughter was shared. In the field, blood and sweat sealed a bond. But what happened? One would rise to the highest seat of command. The other would carve his name in poetry and service. I'm talking about friends. Bound by ambition, trust, and the green and white flag. Hey, do not forget, power is not a silent river. Power roars. Power tempts. Power tests. So as the general sat in the fortress of leadership, voices began to echo. There were whispers around the boss. The whispers grew louder. What was the whisper about? Whispers of betrayal. Hey boss, watch out. Listen well, something is happening. Your best friend is plotting. How? The head of state cannot understand how. A plot? A plot where? How? Babangida's closest ally, his comrade in arms, was at the center of it. His Major General Mamman Vatsa. The story was of a coup, a conspiracy to dethrone Babangida, to unseat the very hand he had once clasped as brother. It is a story of friends. Your best friend, you know what that means? Because of the game of power, two best friends were on the other sides. One, the head of state. The other, accused of wanting to dethrone his best friend. It is the story of General Ibrahim Babangida and General Mamman Vatsa. The program is State Affairs on Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. The radio man is here. Let's go.
State Affairs with Edmond Nobilo is live. Stay tuned.
We're actually at the beginning of the lot 1 of the first section of the circular road. Like I said earlier, the first section is about 32 kilometers span. So this is actually constructed by Cranebrook Limited. And I'm saying, if you look at what is here, if you look at to my left, you see the UTech University. And if you look to my right, you see another industry around. And you can have a view of the communication gadgets that are also power light around this axis. If you're coming into the city of Ibadan, you're coming to the light that His Excellency Engineer Seyi Makinde has actually created for the good people of Oyo State. So let's take the journey together. This is the beginning of the first phase of the circular road.
This is the Ibadan-Lagos road, end of the circular road. From here, your exit, the main exit from here is the Ibadan-Ife road. So if you are coming from Lagos and you are going to Ife, you have no business again with the city of Ibadan. You cut off Iwo Road, and here you come out at the Badeku end. And that takes you straight to Osun State, Ondo State from this end. I can talk about the quality of the work. It is clear for you to say, perhaps Shea Makinde can turn this bridge to a tourism attraction. You can't see how to open up a city. For a long time, Ibadan needed a new project that could open it up to a new level of development. At some point, Ibadan was expanding, but it was shrinking because the infrastructure base was not expanding with the population. With this project, you have opened up the city. So what will happen? A new Ibadan city will begin to emerge on the corners of this road. That is development.
What Edmond said, that the city of Ibadan, that you don't have any business if you're going to Ilesha, Ife, Ondo, you don't have any business to come into the city of Ibadan again. What you need to do is come in at this end. If you're coming from Lagos Ibadan Express, come in at this end and go straight to Badeku end and bust out at the Ibadan Ife Express. But the thing that you know, like he said, this is bringing development to your state. This is building the new Ibadan. And I'm telling you, the corridor around this axis is going to be a world-class development. Industrial, residential are going to be world-class. What do I mean by that? You can't just bust out from the corridor end to come into the express, except you go and you link out. You come out at the toll gate end of the express, and the development that's going to be happening here are going to be highly regulated. I can bet you it's going to be a world-class residential area, and it's going to be a world-class industrial area. Thank you. My name is Olawale Abdulmajid Mogmonjubola. I'm the Honorable Commissioner for Public Works and Transport Oyo State. We're actually at the Lagos Ibadan Express Road, the UTech end of the Circular Road. And we're actually beginning the narrative of what this is all about. It's one of the most, privileged projects that His Excellency Engineer Seyi Makinde has embarked on, and this is bringing a huge development to the people of Oyo State. What do I mean by that? I'm saying if you're going towards Lagos and you're coming to Ibadan, you're going up north, you're going to Ilesha, and you're going to other side of the southwest, you don't need to come directly into Ibadan city again. It's a bypass, it's an express road, it spans about 32 kilometers. And the project, at the first phase of it, lot 1, which is being handled by the crane board, the contractor, I'm saying this end, it's about 70% completed right now. We are going on a tour to the first phase of this project.
Yes. In the story is Mamman Vatsa. In this story is Ibrahim Badamosi Babangida. It is the story of soldiers of fortune. In Soldiers of Fortune, you look at Nigerian politics from Muhammadu Buhari to Babangida, 1983 to 1993. It's a long time, but very short. It shaped the future of Nigeria. So that future you look into has been shaped by military politics. How do you understand the shaping so that you can continue to reshape the effect of military in politics. That is the story we are telling here. You look at this book, Soldiers of Fortune, by Max Siolin. Max Siolin told the story of the military. So Max Siolin is on State Affairs to tell the story of the military. Are you in? The author of the book, Soldiers of Fortune, Nigerian Politics, from Buhari to Babangida, Max Siolin, is on State Affairs. Let's feel his voice. That coup shape military politics in Nigeria. How did that coup shape military politics in Nigeria?
So it did a number of things. Because Air Force officers were involved, the government of the day institutionally punished the Air Force, starved it of funds, and allowed its equipment to fall into disrepair. So maybe 7 years later, the NAF, the Nigerian Air Force, had less than 10 serviceable planes. And it also had an attrition and quality effect because several Air Force officers were executed for involvement in that coup. And some of those Air Force officers were pilots, including fighter pilots, some of the best fighter pilots in the Air Force. One of whom was, actually several of whom were in the were members of the presidential pilots fleet, including the commander of the presidential air fleet, squadron leader Martin Luther, and lots of other really elite Air Force pilots like squadron leader Asen Ahura. So I'd say long term, the Air Force paid a price for it, and then the country paid a price for it as well because of allowing the Air Force's quality and equipment to degrade. When we entered the 21st century and we entered the age of insurgency, it really impeded the military's ability to suppress those insurgencies because of the decades of institutional neglect.
State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live.
If you look at the Punch newspaper, you'll find a story how we breach CBT Center's servers for candidates. Hackers speaking. Vigilantes dragged me naked, threatened to dump my corpse in the bush. Core member Elo speaks. Alafin versus Oni. Monarchs under spell, say traditionalists. Did you hear that? Alafin versus Oni, monarchs under spell, say traditionalists. But I thought when the gods are involved in a discussion, that mortals should not interrupt. I thought that was the rule. That when the gods are in dialogue, that the children of men should not interrupt. So why are we interrupting the dialogue between the Alafin and the Oni? Why are we making a mountain out of a molehill? The gods are deliberating. Leave them alone. You see, it is good that the gods should always deliberate. And when they do so, they resolve the stumbling blocks of the future that you don't see. All you see is the statement from the Alaafin. No, it is not the statement. There is an ongoing discussion in the words of the gods. Sometimes when the discussion gets intense, it is spilled in the form of statement. But that is not what to see. So let me warn. The gods are involved in a tight dialogue. Do not interrupt. Concerns mount over 25% paternity fraud report. What does that mean? You want to read that story? You can check the Punch. Police kill 6 kidnappers, recover arms, charms in Abia. Do charms work? If charms worked, why do armed robbers die? If our charms are potent, are they scientific? Can we formularize them so that we can develop them and sell them and make a lot of foreign exchange? In that case, we can place 100% tariff on the United States if they don't buy our charms. Let's look at it. Let's formularize it. What do you think? Hey. Presidency backs EFCC on Atiku's son-in-law hunt. Presidency backs EFCC on Atiku's son-in-law hunt. EFCC, Atiku, presidency, hunt. Those are the key words. Okay. Despite these stories in the Punch, the past is still catching up with us. The past will always catch up with us. Remember, we are streaming on Edmondo Billow's Facebook page. So, Edmondo Billow, welcome back to Facebook streaming. We are streaming on X, on Edmondo Billow's page on X, on Edmondo Billow's YouTube channel, on Edmondo Billow's LinkedIn page, on State Affairs app, on Splash FM Facebook page. Are you there? Let me see who is in class this morning. When we are talking politics, let me see. Where are you? I'm on X. I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. Adego Kishun is here. Adelakun Adeyemi, good morning. Tubiloba, I can see you. Naughty, good morning to you. Big Pedro. Obat Atonda, I can see you. Thank you. Thank you for reposting the streaming. So if you're on X, you can repost. If you are on Facebook, you can repost. The ball is in your court. Let's see who is on Splash FM Facebook page. Let's go there. Say good morning to the radio man. I can see you here. Hey, hey. Look at you. I can see Omo Bashonu Abiola here. It's the top of the morning to you, the radio man. I don't see anything wrong in calling Nigerians in diaspora to come home and contribute their meaningful impact. Who said that is wrong? Good morning, Mr. Edmund. That is coming from Olarewaju Selari. Okay. Somebody said Edmund. You are losing it outside there, since you ceased to talk about the nation and politics. What am I talking about? Is this not politics and the nation? So we are not kindergarten students that will be reading novel every Saturday morning. Do we read novels here? Have I read any novel here? Oh. He said we all read at home. So what should I be doing? I shouldn't read. Sorry about that. Read more. I'm happy you read at home. So let's read. Okay. I know the politics he's talking about. He wants me to be talking about Atiku. Tinubu, he wants the basbos. I know how you feel. I'm not in that mood at all. Okay? Perhaps someday I'll be in that mood. I don't enjoy the basbos at the moment. But we are still talking politics, taking you back into the past. Danjuma Ali, I salute you. Oyewoshola Simeon, welcome Radio Man. Good to have you this morning. Thank you for being there. Mbaima Nana, how to be in class this morning? Happy to be in class. Happy to have you here. I can see Elder Victor. Elder Ige Victor Babatunde, good morning to you. Yunus Sharif Owolabi, good morning, Radio Man. Yes, thank you for joining the broadcast this morning. Okay? So let's look at the Mamman Vatsa coup. Let's go back to what happened. Some said the accused swore innocence, that his voice began to shake from fear, from disbelief. I could never betray you, he cried. Yet the machinery of power is merciless. Panels were conveyed, trials began. The verdict was already written in the iron wheel of the ruler. Guilty, guilty, you must be executed. Guilty, you must be executed. Now, let's bring in Max Siolin, author of the book, Soldiers of Fortune. He begins the narrative. We now go into what happened during that time. The Mamman Vatsa coup was the first coup that rattled the government of Ibrahim Babangida. In your book, you stated that the coup could be interpreted as a power struggle between the pro-Buhari and pro-Babangida factions in the army. Why did you make that point?
Yes, so I think we have to probably go a step back and look at the time period and the context in which the coup occurred. So this happened very, very early on in Babangida's reign. The government announced the coup plot in December 1985, which was only 4 months after Babangida came to power. So this was a period when the new government was trying to stabilize itself, was trying to basically sell its program to the Nigerian public. Now, there's two ways of looking at the Babangida government. One is that it was just a clean break and a new government after the predecessor Buhari government. Another way to look at it is that it was actually just a continuation of the prior Buhari government, just with a different head of state and a different deputy head of state. Now, several of the people that were in the Buhari government, including Babangida himself and Vatsa, were inherited by the success of the Babangida government. Not everybody was happy about that. And there was testimony that some of the people in the Babangida regime were unhappy about the number and the identity of people from the predecessor Buhari government that were inherited by this supposedly new Babangida government. So that was the context for that juxtaposition between the pro-Buhari, pro-Babangida factions analysis that I made.
Babangida had suspected that Vatsa was plotting a coup, and Vatsa visited Babangida to debunk those ideas. But you also made a point that a mole had compromised the plot already. Who is this mole?
How should I say this? When I'm preparing books, I have sources, some who ask for confidentiality reasons to remain anonymous. And of course, I have to respect people's requests for confidentiality, for anonymity, etc. If information is given to me in trust, I have to respect that relationship. One thing I will say actually is Babangida did not actually suspect that Vatsa was plotting a coup. It was actually the Directorate of Military Intelligence and his security agencies who kept telling him that, look, your best friend Vatsa is plotting a coup against you. Babangida actually took a lot of convincing to believe that Vatsa was involved. Even after Vatsa was arrested, Babangida still had some doubts. So he was a late converter in terms of believing Vatsa's involvement.
So by the time he believed it, he swung into action. The suspect had their last meeting in Makurdi in December 1985. From the trial, it was clear that Vatsa did not attend any of the meetings. Yet, he was convicted. Do you think there was a coup?
So this coup was very, very different. And it's really, really opaque for a number of reasons. One, let's just look at the history of coups in Nigeria. So by the time this is 1985 now, late 1985. By this time, there'd already been 6 coups in Nigeria's history. This 7th one was different from all the prior coups in that it hadn't actually happened, it hadn't been executed. The 6 previous coups were coup attempts that either overthrew the government or that failed, that were suppressed while they were being carried out. So something actually happened. So this time was different because it was the first time that the government put people on trial for just planning a coup, for intending to execute a coup, but not actually executing it. So what happened is that the Directorate of Military Intelligence detected the coup plot while it was still in progress, while it was still being plotted. So why am I telling you all this? Is because because nothing had actually happened, it just became a case of he said, she said. It was one witness's word against another. So on one side, the government claimed that the primary evidence against Vatsa, let's talk about him in particular, there was 2 really significant planks of evidence against him. One was that he granted certificates of occupancy for land to some of the other suspects. And for context for your listeners, at this time, Vatsa's role in the government was he was the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, so he had the authorization to grant certificates of occupancy. So that was plank 1, granting those certificates of occupancy to suspects. Number 2, second plank of evidence, was that he gave money to one of the other suspects who was under investigation. Now, the way the government interpreted that was you gave that money to the other suspect to finance the coup, and you gave those certificates of occupancy to the suspects as an inducement to convince them to take part in this coup. Now, Vatsa's response to defend himself was to say, no, the money I gave to the suspect, it was just a farming loan. This is somebody I know, this is somebody I'm socially acquainted with. I gave him the money as a personal loan. Number 2, it was only 10,000 naira. Yes, 10,000 naira back in 1985 was a lot more money. But Vatsa's argument was, is 10,000 naira enough to induce someone to risk their life in a coup plot? Then as for the certificates of occupancy, it was pointed out that he didn't just grant those to the suspects, he also granted them to one member of the special military tribunal that tried him and to other members of the government. So Vatsa's defense was, look, I granted these certificates to lots of people. Coincidentally, some of them just happened to be among the suspects. This is not real evidence against me. This is just a coincidence. So there's still an open question about two things. One, was there a real coup plot to begin with? Number two, if there really was a coup plot, was Vatsa among the plotters? And that's a really opaque question. And the evidence for that second piece is not very strong, as General Don Kabali, who was then the Minister of Defense, later on said.
In your book, on page 78, Bali said that they opposed the drafting of middle-ranking officers into the government. And they said that the federal military government was too concerned with human rights. You made the point here that some of these allegations were amateurist.
Again, early on in the Babangida government was trying to do everything differently to the Buhari regime, because again, it was trying to differentiate itself and convince the public that this is going to be a very, very different type of government from what you've been used to under Buhari for the previous 18 months. So this was a time of economic reform, and allegedly the government was saying, look, that one of the plotters' grievances was that the government had rejected a loan from the IMF. Number two, the Babangida government was releasing a lot of people that had been detained by the Buhari government for corruption, state security offenses, etc. And the IBB government was trying to present itself as pro-human rights. And again, I've already mentioned that there was some tension about retaining people from the Buhari regime in the successive Babangida government. Now, even if all those things I've mentioned, those 1, 2, and 3, are true, was that enough to convince people to carry out a violent coup? So there's two schools of thought. One is, yep, those things are true, and that was their motivation for carrying out the coup. Second school of thought is that, no, those things are not true, and maybe some people used the grumbling of people who are unhappy about the government's policies as an excuse to rope them up in a coup plot and get rid of people they did not like.
State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live.
The author of the book, Soldiers of Fortune, Max Hulun, is hanging out with a radio man. Olani is some legend, Baba. I can see you. Good morning. Adego Kishun, good morning. He says the reason the military always comes into governance is because of the way our politicians run the affairs of the country. It's because of the way our politicians run the affairs of the country. It's because there is too much bureaucracy, which brings corruption. Adelakun Adeyemi, good morning. Good to see you here. I can see Oladele Dew Joseph. He says, I'm in class listening attentively. KG Akinwale, good morning to you. Happy to see you here. I can see Engineer Lukman. Thank you for joining the broadcast. Good morning, Radio Man. I'm happy to be in class. That is from Fasai. Uludari, good morning. I can see you here. Come to class. It is time to understand the past. Understanding the past brings clarity about the future. One of the problems of Africa is mental poverty. When you bring the question of knowledge, a lot of persons run away because knowledge is not the easy road. But it is not an option. For advancement to happen, a people must understand their history, where they are coming from. The search for knowledge must be a consistent one, and that is what this program intends to push to the public. There is a mission to achieve, and that mission is the emancipation of the mind. To emancipate the mind, we must continuously advance the course of knowledge. It is not the easy road, but it is the road to freedom, the road to liberty. It is the road to advancement. And all ye that wish for a future of beauty must open your mind to new learnings, especially learning about the past. It is the way to go. Therefore, I make it known to you this morning that the agenda is clear. Advancing knowledge. Stay tuned, stay cool.
State Affairs with Edmond Bilo is live. Stay tuned.
ṣé o rántí bí màmá wa ṣe máa ń tètè
Commissioner for Public Works and Transport of your state. We're actually at the Lagos Ibadan Express Road, the UTech end of the Circular Road, and we're actually beginning the narrative of what this is all about. It's one of the most, privileged projects that His Excellency Engineer Seyi Makinde has embarked on, and this is bringing a huge development to the people of Oyo State. What do I mean by that? I'm saying if you're going towards Lagos and you're coming to Ibadan, you're going up north, you're going to Ilesha, and you're going to other side of the southwest, you don't need to come directly into Ibadan city again. It's a bypass, it's an express road, it spans about 32 kilometers. And the project, at the first phase of it, lot 1, which is being handled by the crane board, the contractor, I'm saying this end, it's about 70% completed right now. We are going on a tour to the first phase of this project. It's about 4 sections of the project. We have the section 1, which spans from UTech Express to Badeku Express. From that ends at the Ashedire end of the road. Thank you. Let's go on the journey. This is actually a world-class project. You can see the inscription on it is done by first-class contractor, Cranberg. And you can see the standard of the work done here is actually a world-class project. I mean, I can imagine this. Maybe you need to visit the city of Abuja and you see something like this. Is a world-class project and it's going to last a lifetime. I can bet you on that. The headroom here from the finish level of the road to the tip of the overhead bridge, it's about 5.5 clearance way. Conveniently, trailers, heavy trucks can go right underneath down to Ibadan Lagos Expressway. What you're seeing here is actually the installation of a solar panel that powers the communication panel that powers the communication antennas around this zone. Is going to be a world-class communication section from this end. Security is key to His Excellency, and that is why this is going on here right now.
What is clear from what we are seeing here is a bridge that tells the story of development in Oyo State, and a solar project here that connects the bridge and the communication world. The poles are not just communication gadgets. At night, this place is brightened, welcoming you into the pace-setter state, telling you that as you come at night, you meet the light that shines into the future. Sheyi Makinde makes the point that a project of this magnitude can be carried out by government of the people. The commissioner is taking us on a journey, and it's a journey. The program is State Affairs on Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. You can join the discourse. What do you know about the coup? What do you know about the past? What do you think about the future? We are looking at the Vatsa coup coming. What is your understanding of the effect of that coup on our democracy at the moment? The numbers to call 070694 93000. That is 070694 93000 and 070144 75770. It's also an opportunity for you to express yourself in other areas. Good morning.
Hello, yeah, good morning. I am Lawrence from Unity. You see, I think Babangida is insecure. He's also human. Because according to what he put in his book, it really shows that he doesn't have enough evidence. Because he was saying he wants to get through the air conditioning system. So just also about Abacha. When he said that Abacha already at the stage, stuff like that. So I think he's just revisioning, he's just trying to advise, he's just trying to justify what is not.
Thank you for calling the radio station. The lines are open. Let's hear from you. Good morning.
Good morning, Edmond.
Good morning.
Alhaji Chief Suleiman Oladipo Bolaniwa. Ọmọ Bolaniwa Ọlọ́run ṣe jẹ́ Alamori. Your old friend, old soldier papa. Look, I'm using this medium to tell Nigerians that coup is no coup. It wasn't coup. In fact, many people of who they don't believe Babangida will have used maturity to view that purported coup. One, Mamman was the best man during Babangida's marriage. The best friend of Babangida. Two, Mamman was a poet, a renowned one for that matter. In fact, talent to Nigeria. Yes. in Nigeria, we lost a lot of fine, good officers to unnecessary execution. See, it's a tragedy to Nigeria. Thank you. God bless you, Edmund.
Thank you. On state affairs, we believe that reading is feeding the mind. So one of the missions of this program is to help spread the culture of reading, because we believe that reading is feeding the mind. And if our research on the problems of Africa centers around mental poverty, the program therefore stands to tackle mental poverty. And one of the ways to tackle mental poverty is through the promotion of knowledge. In this case, political, historical, and knowledge of power. Our mission on state affairs is to nurture critical thought by studying history, politics, and power with depth and clarity. We are committed to examining the events, ideas, and actors that shape nations, providing context that go beyond the surface of daily news. By connecting past and present on this program, we seek to enlighten our audience, inspire informed citizenship, and foster a deeper understanding of the forces that define our world. In recent times, some persons have written to me to say, we want that Edmund of the past. I told them, I think I have moved very far from that Edmund, because my consciousness is intensifying by the day. So if by 2025, you still want to see the Edmund of 2015, then you are telling me that I'm not even advancing my thought. You know, when I started broadcasting, I started with sport. The sport bang you listen to on Splash FM today used to be my show. That was my first show on radio. Sport Bang with the Sport Horse. Then I started another program, Just Football. It still runs on Splash FM. It used to run on Wednesdays, Just Football. From sport, I began to present Bull's Eye, an interview program where I bring in mostly politicians and take them up. Why Bull's Eye grew, I started another program, Village Square, Folklore and Story Time. Before you knew it, I began to present at the same time another program, Legislative Matter, focusing on the Oyo State House of Assembly. At the same time, I began to present another program, Economic Searchlight. Then, I launched Voices. So, what it meant at that time was that every day I was on radio. Yes, that was my beginning. Some would see me on the road and say, hey, your best program is Village Square. I love it. Some would say, no, it is just football. Oh, somebody will say, Bullseye excites me. That means different personalities at that time. And it had its own audiences. But what happened? I began to grow. And there was no way I could handle all those programs at the same time anymore. Because this time, I began to narrow down. Before you knew it, Tunde Olaowo came into the picture. and began to present Sport Bank. I have left sport now. I used to run 2 editions of Bullseye. I wanted to narrow down, and Nike Adewuyi was on board. She began to present the Wednesday edition of Bullseye. I'm now narrowing down. I stopped Ville Square. I now began to focus specifically on politics. You see, I'm now narrowing down. That narrowing down continues until we solve the problems of the time. That does not mean that current affairs is not part of the show. It is. They'll come at different times as we go. But for me, I will not continue to shout, to talk about men who continue to debase the essence of politics, of democracy, and make them the topic of my head all the time. It is now beginning to offend me. By the time I look at the act of politics and see how the country is descending into poverty and more violence, we will continue to talk. The ball is in your court. Max Siolin is on State Affairs. It is Soldiers of Fortune, the Mama Vatsa Coup. Do you think Babangida was paranoid at this time?
The Babangida of 1985 and before is very, very different from the Babangida that people, think of today and of the 1990s. So, although Nigerians won't admit it, Babangida was a very, very popular head of state. In fact, when he first came to power, it's hard to think of a more popular Nigerian military head of state than Babangida in his first year or two. Nigerians loved him. International heads of state like Margaret Thatcher in Britain loved him as well. They thought he was a benevolent and enlightened leader. And he was perceived as being more gentle, more genial, more friendly than Buhari, who was regarded as more serious and stern. So at this time, he wasn't as security conscious as he later became. The turning point for the Babangida government was actually 1990, when there was another coup plot in April of that year, which nearly killed Babangida and nearly killed his family. That was at the turning point where the government really started behaving differently, became a lot more security conscious, a lot more vigilant about monitoring its opponents and pro-democracy activists. So I would say at this stage, no, IBB was not paranoid in 1985.
Was Vatsa a Buhari man more than an IBB man?
So here's the thing. Socially, the relationship between Vatsa and Babangida was deeper and longer than, the Vatsa-Buhari relationship. Vatsa and Babangida were really close friends, or best friends. They had been friends for about close to a quarter of a century. You have to remember that before 1985, they had been childhood friends and boyhood school classmates. They went to the same school. They were classmates in school. Then after they left school, they joined the army, enrolled for the army on the same day. They joined the Nigerian Military Training College on the same day, and they were enrolled in the army at the same time. And throughout their career, kind of held rank parity with each other. And the social relationship with them was so close that Babangida was the best man at Vatsa's wedding. So if you look at it that way, Vatsa was definitely more of a Babangida person than a Buhari person.
But it seemed Vatsa was not happy with the removal of Buhari as the head of state.
When there's a coup in Nigeria, let me talk about Nigeria, often and usually it splits the military into competing ideological camps. Those for the coup, those against it. And what you usually see in Nigeria is that every time there's a coup, even the ones that succeeded, there's usually a counter coup or a reaction to it from those people who oppose the coup and who want to reverse it. So a few examples. There was a coup in January 1966. July 1966, there was a counter coup by people who were unhappy with the outcome and effect of that January coup. Then we go to July 1975. There was a coup that overthrew General Gowon. 6 months later, there was another coup by people who were from Gowon's area, who were unhappy at Gowon being overthrown and who were unhappy about the reforms that were undoing Gowon's policies. So similarly, this, again, Babangida came to power in August 1985. 4 months later, there's another alleged coup plot, allegedly by people who were unhappy at Babangida undoing the policies of his predecessor. So to me, this is just Nigerian politics, Nigerian coup 101. When there's a coup, there's usually a reaction and a counter coup.
Did Vatsa really go to Buhari to tell him to remove Ibrahim Babangida as the chief of army staff?
The accounts of this coup that we have, we tended to only hear one side of the story, the government side of the story. Unfortunately, because the defendants, most of them are dead, we never got to hear their side of the story. So there's a lot of allegations, rumors, claims, accusations, etc., that it's just impossible to corroborate and to figure out whether or not it's true. And I would put that one in that category.
Let's go back a bit. There was this Gloria Okon subject, and the Buhari government was investigating the subject. Was Mama Vatsa involved in the Gloria Okon saga?
Not to my knowledge, and Vatsa wasn't in charge of security or troops. Like I said, he was the minister of the Federal Capital Territory, so it would have been unlikely that he was involved in that.
Let's look at what Babangida said in his book. Have you read Babangida's book?
I have, yeah.
I want to read from his book. He said, with the benefit of hindsight now, I recall that a constant part of our relationship as teenagers and young men was a continuous and recurrent peer jealousy on his part towards me. He was always envious of my achievement, especially when he thought I was progressing better than him, either in school or our military career path. For instance, when I became head boy at Bida Secondary School, Vatsa made it a duty to put obstacles in my way as a leader. Do you think Babangida saw the opportunity to finally take out the envious Vatsa?
I'll say two things. One is just about that Babangida book, and two is about the extract you quoted. One, that Babangida book, reading it, it's very clear that Babangida himself did not author every single line in that book. He had a ghostwriter who kind of lifted quotes and borrowed from other sources. That's number one. So this point about jealousy, the person who actually first raised that was TYD, Danjuma. This is back when Babangida was still in power. Danjuma actually was the one that went to Babangida and pointed out to him, hey, look, you and Vatsa, have you noticed that you always kind of had parity with each other? And the only time that parity was broken was when you became the head of state and became Vatsa's boss. So that was what actually implanted that jealousy idea in Babangida's head. So I think we have to be careful how we treat the sources, because of those two facts I've mentioned. One, that the jealousy idea wasn't originally IBB's idea, and two, that the book is not 100, it's very clear, it's not 100% his own work. A lot of it is just whoever his ghostwriter was, just kind of sellotaping sources together from third-party materials.
How did he arrive at this conclusion?
Well, in my own book, Soldiers of Fortune, which is the closest thing to my own book was released, first released 12 odd years before IBB's book was. So I did a lot of research on IBB's life and sources. And I'd seen that reference. There was an interview where he made that reference a long time ago, decades ago, to TYD having that conversation with him about jealousy. Then the IBB book itself, not for me being immodest, there's several passages, and I'm choosing my words carefully, which very blatantly are plagiarism, where they quoted my book, Soldiers of Fortune and Oil, Politics and Violence, without attribution. And there's several other passages where I see them quoting and borrowing third-party materials without attribution. And because I've just researched this area so closely over several decades, I can tell when I'm reading something that's not original and which is just a regurgitation of somebody else's work. And now, just to be clear, I'm not saying the entire book is like that. I'm saying portions, some parts of the book are like that.
State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live.
Max Siolun, author of Soldiers of Fortune, is on State Affairs. Other books written by Max Siolun are What Britain Did to Nigeria. I recommend that book to you. What Britain Did to Nigeria, a book by Max Siolun. He is also the author of Nigeria's Soldiers of Fortune. This one is Soldiers of Fortune. There is Nigeria's Soldiers of Fortune, the Abacha and Obasanjo years. And that is another year we are going to study in this class. The Abacha Obasanjo years. We will study the Yaradua years, the Jonathan years. It's about understanding the past and also projecting into the future. We will also look into the future. It's about projection. In doing that, today is in consideration. In fact, the subject of the past are the subject of today. It is Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. Stay tuned.
State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live.
Splash.
We are in Ado, Hawaii. So we are at the foot of Okado Mountain, rock as the case may be. This is the foot. So from here we'll be heading to the top. What's our mission? We want to have a dialogue with Iyake Lake. That's why we're here. So this is the foot of the rock. We are relaxed. So we are saving energy because the work up the rocks will take more than an hour. So you need to be strong. You know, exercise yourself, getting ready, and up we go soon. So welcome to Okeado Hills, Okeado Mountain, Okeado Rocks. We are going to have a dialogue with Iyake Lake. Come with us. Up we go. The journey begins now. Yes, our tour guide is ahead of me. You see him from Oyo State Ministry of Culture and Tourism. He's taking us up. This is the first gate, the gate into the rocks. You know, we have different rocks here, and Iyake Lake is at the top of one of the rocks. Let's go.
We place us over 200 steps. We talk about 200 steps.
300 steps.
Yes. And in fact, we have about 16 sites there. 16 sites, it's a study site. When the Iyake is the most prominent one. Iyake Suspended Lake is the most prominent one among them. On our way now, we first of all reach Isagi Hill. After Isagi Hill, we see Odoyalaro, we see Esiamu Agba. We see Iyake Suspended Rock. If we move up, we see a second Coup. That's a very sharp edge of the rock. We see Ebebangi Gira. We see Majekakan. We see Agbomafo Iyake. That one is very close to Iyake Lake. It is believed that if somebody puts his leg inside, the person will meet himself inside the Iyake. So that is forbidden. People are forbidden from putting their leg there. So we have 60-30 sites. And in fact, those 60-30 sites during the olden days, those historic sites were shrines worshipped by the indigenes that time. Before it's now been turned into 30 sites. Wow. And up till now, people who have belief, they still request for whatever they want from each of those shrines.
So we have 300 steps to go.
Yes.
Oh. Guys, we just started. let's talk about scrap. What are you doing with the scrap around you? Do you know you can make money from scraps around you? Check it out. So I have Mr. Scrap with me here to talk about scrap. What you can do with scrap. Scrap to wealth, right?
Exactly.
Tell us more.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Edmond. My name is Shenwe Jido, call me Mr. Delaw. Yes, Dr. Scrap, as the name implies, is a modern recycle company that has been in operation for over a decade now, with uncompromisable integrity, has a major and, of course, dependable, reliable recycle solution in Nigeria. Yes, we've done a lot. And, of course, let me say this once again. A big thank you to all that have been, patronizing us. I'm telling you, Mr. Edmond, the patronage is massive. Yeah. It's massive because they see what we are doing and to actually help the society and the country at large. Yes, the point is that, do you have an abandoned car or accidented car or maybe abandoned industrial machine lying in value in your company or in the industry? Yes, Dr. Scrap is out there to help you turn all those things into cash.
How do you do it?
Now, you having all these things in your company, you don't use it for anything, right? You just seen it there and they're there. We can actually help. You call us, then we convert it to scrap. You understand? Now, how we go about that is that as we are talking on radio now, you are listening to us and you have some of these things in your care. You can call us on this number. And our number is just one number, 0908 301 3333. 0908 301 3333. Now, as you are listening to us, Dr. Scrap as a company, you can deal with us in 3 stages. We have 3 departments in Dr. Scrap that you can deal with. That's, in the process of you dealing with us. Yes. At Dr. Scrap, we have 3 departments, like I said, media and advertisement department. Media and advertisement department is the one in charge of anything advertisement, publicity, like the one I'm doing now on radio talking about Dr. Scrap. Yes. Once you have those things, you call us, then you send the pictures of all these items you have, all these abandoned vehicles, cars, and the rest. You send it to us. This department will check through. So once they've checked it, they discover that, okay, it is what we can actually buy. They will now ask you some questions like, okay, does he have document? Are these documents tenable? They'll ask you. Then, if the pictures you have sent is not what we can progress on, then that ends the transaction.
So no document, no business.
Exactly. No document, no business. Yes. Now, if we are been okay with all you have sent to us, then we now move into the next department, which is before we move out of that place, we will ask you how much do you want to sell it, your asking price. Then you tell us. If it matches up with our buying rates price, then we continue. If it is not, then we call it a day. Then we'll move to the second department, which is a verification department. This verification department is a sole department in this organization. Why? Because they have under them 2 other departments that work out the magic, and that is agent and logistics. This agent, once you are done with the advertisement department, they move into the verification department. The verification department will now have to activate the agent to get into the location of the vehicle. So when they get there, there are 2 things. There are a lot of things we check. We check psychologically and physically. The fact that you have the document does not make, you the original, does not make this item authentic or legitimate. So we still have to check through. So we have a way of checking all these things because we work directly with law enforcement agencies like police, FRSC, and VIO, and the rest of them. So in no time, we check through. So once we are done with that, then we move into the other department, which is finance. But before then, we can actually terminate the transaction if we are not convinced that, okay, this information supplied about these items are not dependable. Yeah, we can actually call it a day. If we get to the location and we discover that, okay, there's a young boy, a middle-aged boy, maybe like 15 years, saying, I'm the owner of this thing. And all the information supplied, all the questions we are asking him, he could not give us a convincing answer, then we can call it a day.
So this is about converting waste to wealth.
Exactly. So moving from there, or let's say we get to a place, we get to the location, we now discover that, okay, those people that we want to actually deal with, they are under the influence of alcohol. We will call it a day. It's a red flag because all the information supplied there may not be reliable. Sure, understand.
So Dr. Scrap is guided by policy.
Exactly. We have policies that we're being guided with. So after that, we now move to the next department, which is finance. If all the information supplied by the verification department to the finance is okay, if the verification is done their own bit, if they have done their own bit, then they discuss with the finance, and the finance will now ask the verification department, send in the account number of the owner of the vehicle, then we credit the owner of the vehicle. Then the verification confirms that, okay, have you seen the alert? So from there, we take the vehicles to our warehouse.
If you want to do business with Dr. Scrap, call the numbers.
Yes, if you want to do business with us, call this number 0908 301 3333. 0908 3333. Okay, 0908 301 3333.
So the number to call if you are interested in doing business with Dr. Scrap, 090 830 133 33. Shenwe Jidokun, thank you for featuring on State Affairs.
It's a pleasure, Mr. Edmond.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
State Affairs with Edmondo Below is live.
Splash FM.
Of Ukadu Mountain, rock as the case may be, this is the foot. So from here we'll be heading to the top. What's our mission? We want to have a dialogue with Iyake Lake. That's why we're here. So this is the foot of the rock. We are relaxed. So we are saving energy because the work up the rocks will take more than an hour. So you need to be strong. You know, exercise yourself, getting ready, and up we'll go soon. So welcome to Okiado Hills, Okiado Mountain, Okiado Rocks. We are going to have a dialogue with Iyake Lake. Come with us. Up we go. The journey begins now. Yes, our tour guide is ahead of me. You can see him from Oyo State Ministry of Culture and Tourism. He's taking us up. This is the first gate, the gate into the rocks. You know, we have different rocks here, and Iyake Lake is at the top of one of the rocks. Let's go.
The place has over 200 steps. It has over 200 steps.
300 steps.
Yes. And in fact, we have about 16 sites there. 16 sites, it's a study site. Iyake is the most prominent one. Iyake Suspended Lake is the most prominent one among them. On our way now, we first of all reach Isagi Hill. After Isagi Hill, we see Odoyalaro, we see Esiamu Agba, we see Iyake Suspended Rock. If we move up, we see Coup. That's a very sharp edge of the rock. We see Odebanji Gira, we see Majakakan, we see Agbomafo Iyake. That one is very close to Iyake Lake. It is believed that if somebody puts his leg inside, the person will meet himself inside the Iyake. So that is forbidden. People are forbidden from putting their leg there. So we have 60-story site. And in fact, those 60-story sites during the olden days, those 60-story sites were shrines worshipped by the indigenes that time. Before it's now been turned into 30 site. Wow. And up till now, people who have belief, they still request for whatever they want from each of those shrines.
So we have 300 steps to go.
Yes.
Oh. Guys, we just started.
This is Agi Rock, one of the 16 tourist sites on top of Ado Mountain. This rock is known for fertility and productivity. Mostly, it gives children for those who believe in it. Those who want children, they come from all nooks and crannies to come and worship it, to come and make their request.
Let's look at the Vanguard newspaper. Electoral malpractice will fear the worst in 2027. It's coming from Nigerians. Electoral malpractice will fear the worst in 2027. You see that headline in the Vanguard newspaper. You know, we've been talking about electoral fraud from 1960. We are still talking about it. We can't get elections right. There is something wrong with such a people. Since 1960, we are still talking about electoral fraud. We can't fix it. We've been talking about NEPA, up NEPA. Growing up, we'll be screaming up NEPA we are still on it. We are still on it. We can't solve it. I could still remember as a child when we'll be screaming up NEPA. We had pipe-borne water while we were growing up in Benin. We opened the tap in our house and there's water. That doesn't exist anymore. And you have a political class that is grandstanding, that is losing focus by the day, not taking responsibility. So you can see the kind of elections we have been organizing in recent time. Some are fair, depending on who is interested. 2027 will not be different. So the fears here, electoral malpractice will fear the worst in 2027. That is why we must learn from history. It was happening in Ghana. It is the same reason the Gideon Oka guys wanted Babangida dead. And you think history will not repeat itself? You know, when I look at the political class now, I just sit down. You know, I say these guys don't understand what is coming. But men of wisdom should not allow what is coming to come. And that is why that intervention must happen now. I don't like what is coming. And men of knowledge must intervene now. Not men of money. Men of knowledge should intervene now. The lines are open. Join the discourse. It is about soldiers of fortune. The Mama Vatsa coup. Maxiolun is on state affairs. PDP crisis, combatant strategize for Monday's make or mar neck. The same story since the election. PDP crisis. They can't resolve it. They can't resolve it. After the next election, they move into the next crisis. They spend all the energy and money. You know what they spend in this crisis? Billions of naira that would go into health, into education. Money is moving. As they are quarreling, billions are moving. 2027, ADC, a grand deception, says Obi's running mate, Dati Ahmed. Have they started quarreling in the ADC? Then the people will soak their discussion on it. They are fighting. Today you support Tinubu. Tomorrow is Obi, Atiku. You are throwing punches. Yet no food. No good schools. But somehow we will make things right. We have to. It is not optional. The lines are open. 070694 93000. That is 070694 93000. Good morning.
Hello, good morning, Edmond.
J.K. Olashukwu.
Good morning, my brother.
Good morning.
How's your weekend going?
Yeah, you can see the radio man is on radio.
Thank God. I just want to, a video I watched on the YouTube, this Agbaletu Dele Adeyanju. he actually interviewed one soldier, not the senior one, though. A young soldier. He invited him from Port Harcourt to Ibadan here. I think he did that around last 2 weeks. I watched it, and that man was testifying that that coup actually existed, and that certain things happened that let it reveal to the president, the military president. So his own side of the story, I think, put a kind of confirmation, because people were saying, was this real? Was it manipulated? This or that? But he confirmed it actually existed.
No,
Thank you very much.
JK, don't go.
Okay, I'm not good.
Yeah, I think the interview you are talking about is about the Gideon Okaku.
Is it okay? Gideon Okaku.
Yes,
he mentioned Gideon Okaku, and if you listen throughout, he mentioned that of the one we are talking about now.
Okay,
Mamman
Vatsa.
He confirmed it.
You are talking about a soldier who was forced into the coup.
Yeah, forced into the coup. Yeah,
I have interviewed him.
Okay.
I will release that interview soon.
Okay, all right.
Yes,
all right.
We discussed the Gideon Okaku. I get the point you are making.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Yes, the story he's talking about here is that it's an interview you should not miss. You will see what happened, why Nigeria is where it is at the moment. You know, sometimes most of the stories of these coups are told from the stories of the top guys that planned the coup. But the foot soldiers, those who fired the shots, the sergeants, the corporals, they hardly tell their own story. But one of them has told me his story, how he found himself participating in the Gideon Okaku. The lines are open. Join the discuss. Good morning.
Good morning, platform. I'm greeting the radio now, always on radio.
Thank you.
It's my name. You see, it baffles my mind. It's highly aching. What you have said, we are seeing screaming of Nepal. The goodness of the democracy, or the goodness of our democracy, the goodness of democracy and good governance has gone far to the country citizens. They replaced this thing by 4 years of Ankara, Congo of price and English for 5,000 naira. What are we saying? In my missionary primary school, we only go with an empty bottle water. We there and tap our fill up our bottle water bottle there. Excuse me. What are we saying? You see our class teacher pushing us from that tap water, pushing us away because we will not live there. Nowadays, you are sending your child to the school, you are buying pure water for the child because there's no potable water by this particular government again. So the good governance has gone far. Why? We are not holding them responsible. We are not asking questions. So we are pointed to our Lord. Instead of asking these people, where is the good governance? Where is the dividend of democracy? Where is the uninterrupted electricity? Where is the pipe water? Where is the road networking? Where is our health facility? All these have gone far by the country citizens, and we are wretched. The poverty has already touched our mentality. That's my perspective. Good morning, sir. Good morning, man.
Dr. Philip Edema is on X. He says the Mamman Vatsa coup perhaps reflects the rot and corruption in the Nigerian military system under Babangida and others. The problem it generated is still visible in our polity today. Quite unfortunate. That's Dr. Philip Edema on X. Are you on X? Have you reposted? Adedeji Iyitayo is on X. He says, good morning, the radio man. The God's conversation threatens the mother. All right, he's taking us back to the laughing Oni discussions. Remember, when the gods are in a dialogue, mortals should not interrupt. Leave the gods alone. Join the discuss. The lines are open. 070144 75770. Good morning. Are you there? or your boy is on air.
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Yeah, long time. Wish you the best. Thank you, my brother. Please, I want to ask about this, my brother, Lambert today. Where is he?
Lambert J should be fine.
Okay, he's a great man. And secondly, you see, this election we are doing in Nigeria now is a buy and selling election. Since we run election they did last week, I was there. I see how they are sharing money. All these PMAs, all of them are full there because of high election. What about 2027 election? How is it going to be? You see, we didn't get it right until when you sit right, we do the needful before we can get it right. Good morning. My name is Wale Borode. Thank you.
You know, especially in the APC, while the primaries of the APC was going on for the Ibadan North Federal Constituency, you know, they began their normal politics. It hasn't changed. You know, I will still go back and listen to my Bullseye. I was listening to Bullseye of 2010. 2010 to now, that's 15 years. The same character. So when this politician calls me after the election, Edmond, I want to be on your show on Saturday. I said, why? He said, no, I'm not happy with what happened in the APC. They skimmed me out. I've spent millions. They just skimmed me out like that. I want to come and speak. I said, no, you're not speaking your mind, though. I said, speak it inside there. I said, speak it inside APC there. You're not coming on this show. He said, why? I said, no. I said, go and speak it. I said, you were also planning to scheme. You were also planning to scheme. Now, they skimmed you out. That's all. That's what happened. I said, yes, I was monitoring what was going on. You also had your own gangs. All of you were scheming. So the biggest schemer won. So take it easy. Don't come on radio. Sort yourself out there. He said, you are making a point. I said, yes. I said, prepare for the next election. Not giddy now. I said, go and get ready for the next one, 2027. Because that is the tradition. It is getting worse. You now come and begin to shout on radio, boo, 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 boo. It didn't favor you this time. So get ready for the next march. Sort it out there. Stay in there and peace in. Okay? The lines are open. 070-144-75770. Good morning.
Top of the morning to you, Edmond. I've said it on this platform that food ban has come to stay in Nigeria. This Saturday, I was there at Ibadan North Federal Constituency as an observer, so I see what is going on there. As a matter of fact, every political party engaged in food buying, I must tell you. Or the APC never still lost the highest bidder of PDP. So you see, let me tell you, Edmond, every Nigerian has his own, has his or her own role to play to make Nigeria great again. Myself, I have my role to play. You too, you have your role to play. You see, as Bola Ahmed Tinubu, being president of this country does not mean he's wiser than me and you. So we too, we need our role to play. Very well. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you for calling the radio station. The lines are open. Let's hear from you. Are you on X? Are you on Facebook? Express yourself. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Comrade Michael Abba. I've been listening to you for a long time, but this is my expectation, sir. I'm expecting when somebody like you will have a party that other people like us, because these politicians have gone through how that we believe they are no leadership that have the real ideology to solve the problem of this nation. So I'm expecting when you are going to be ready for this nation, that you will lead, that some people like us will follow and know how and what to do to take this nation to the next level. We cannot continue to listen and be silent to some extent. I'm sure some of us that know how to talk should know how to practice what we preach. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for calling the radio station. Your points are noted. The lines are open. Call the radio station.
Hello?
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, I want to shed light on the coups, please.
Go ahead.
Okay, especially about Ghana coup.
Who is speaking?
Ade Mamman from Ibadan.
All right.
Thank you very much. I want to shed light on Ghana coup, what happened in Ghana, especially the running school. I was in Ghana when that coup happened. I remember the coup started on the 15th of May, 1979. Rollins wanted to assist the coup and he was arrested. When he was arrested, they were trying him. So his men, that time, I have all the photographs of the men who took part in the coup and the photograph of the AFRC council. I have the photograph as I'm speaking. I even have a write-up about the coup also. Now, let me tell you this. The coup happened on the 15th of May. It was aborted. Rollins was arrested. He was not locked. He was being tried. So the men, those children, those younger soldiers, they were agitating that how can our boss be in prison himself and being tried? After they try him, he will be killed. So they try to stage another coup. The first coup they wanted to stage, that time Obasanjo came. So that coup was then suspended. After that, about some few days, the day they would try him again. Okay, those junior soldiers said, if they try this man will be killed. So we have to stage this coup no matter what happened. So on top of June, they now strike. So the coup now happened. So they took over the broadcasting house. Then, after some time, Rollins went to Lagos, that's the university, to go and inform the students about the coup. Then, Odati Welenge, who was the chief of army staff then.
You say, I won't allow you to go. Hello, I won't allow you to continue with your story. So what point are you making?
Well, what I'm trying to make is that, you said something. Why was Odati Welenge given an honor? Why he was given that honor was that, what he said, he's a brave soldier. He went and take over the broadcasting house after he left the place. That is why he was given that national honor.
Thank you.
Because that day, the daughter of the technology was not saying the truth. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for calling the radio station. He took us back to last week. Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
Yeah, I'm Jide. I'm calling from Colorado. Good morning.
Good morning.
Power play is about alignment and denials and you betrayals. You align, you betray. That's what they do, even in politics. So not to talk of military who have gone. So that's what they do. Then, but you said what I want to discuss is what you said about African traditional medicine and all that we should be exporting it. And we have magic, we have miracles, and we have science. Magic and science and miracles are not, you cannot explain it physically. Those things just come through spiritual means. But science is not what African practice. People call it African science, but those words are not supposed to be used. It's not African science. It's just purely people. We have our own science too. If you build something, you build a house, you build all these things and mechanism and all that. But for you to now call juju science, no, it's not science. It's let me put it like art. Yes, you can read it like that. But one thing is, in science you have observations, you have experiments, you have hypotheses and all that. You do all this process and you arrive at a conclusion. So, and that conclusion will now give you a theory. That's what science is made of. And science can be practiced by, even if you are staying at Ibadan and you raise an experiment. That experiment can be practiced by someone in Ibadan or someone in Ghana or someone in Norway. But traditional medicine cannot, they hide these things. When they give you 7 items to combine in traditional medicine, they will only tell you 5. The other 2 will not be reviewed. So you have to search for it by yourself, maybe through the spiritual world and all that. But science is pure, it's open. Let me put it that way. Science is open, you see it and you know what you are getting into. So if it's not right, you will know from that experiment. And if it's right, you know everybody will now continue on that line.
Thank you.
But one of these days, I hope you bring all this African traditional medicine here so that we can discuss about these things. African juju is not science. So thank you.
Thank you. That is why I was saying, can we formularize it to make it science? So that if we say this is equals to this and it is quadratic equation, we have a formula. So that I don't need to come and sleep under your bed and stay in the forest for 150 days to know how to launch that juju. It's a cake. So that we can study it and manufacture it for the world if it is potent. The lines are open. Let's hear from you.
Good morning, Mr.
Good morning.
My name is Eze. I'm calling from Ibadan. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yes, I stopped blaming our politicians. I think the problem is the Nigerian people. And the politicians, of course, are part of us. Because I said, nobody forces anybody to sell their vote. Nobody forces anybody to sell their vote. It's not as if the politicians had a gun to the head of the voters that we have to bring it. If not, we'll shoot you. But it's because the people ourselves, we've not realized that politics is the way to develop our nation. So we feel that, let's collect a Congo of rice, we'll collect 5,000 and we cast our vote. It's not our politicians that is a problem. If nobody is buying, nobody will be selling. If nobody is selling, nobody will be buying. So it's the general people. It's not just this group of politicians, APC, PDP. No, they can do that within their political party by themselves and present somebody as presidential or governorship candidate. But when it comes to the election, it is we that will now come. If they now offer us money and we sell it, so we cannot blame PDP or APC. It's a major thing about the ordinary Nigerian. Why should we sell our vote?
Can we have a talk?
That's it. So when we say politicians, no, politicians, they know our vote count, but they also know that we sell it. So we are the one that's cheapening the political system. Anytime we wake up and we know that, no, politics is the way to improve our life, not just to sell and collect 5,000, then we make progress. Thank you, sir.
Hello, don't go. Are you there?
I'm here, sir.
Okay, let's look at it from this way.
Okay, sir.
The political class are allowed to buy votes within their own systems. You make that point.
Yes.
That the major point now should be we, the people, should now say that the process in your party will not apply here. You
Definitely, sir.
Yeah, now the point I want to make is this, that the character of leadership at every time is always the dominant character of the state and the people. So
that's the same thing I'm saying. That's why I said we the people, we are the problem.
No, I've not made my point.
Okay, sir.
Now, if the leadership class that runs the party allows their own internal democracy to be defined by money,
yes, sir,
it will also penetrate the larger political system, because the character of leadership at any time is the dominant character of the people. That's the point I'm making.
Sir, I understand the character, but I think there are difference here. I think there are difference. So when a politician gets into office and is taking action that are not in favor of the people, don't we have a right to protest it? If, like, APC does their primary, they bought their votes and bring somebody else, PDP does that, Labour does that, who is forcing us to compete for one of those ones?
Both of us are having a discourse now.
Yes, sir.
I understand your point, but let's also take it further, because you've also made another point. If APC allows a gubernatorial candidate to get the ticket by buying vote,
yes, sir,
PDP allows it, ADC allows it, That means from the internal processes of the political parties, they've already corrupted the system, right?
Yes.
So do you think a candidate produced by that kind of system, whether we voted for them or not, do you think they'll be able to fix the Nigerian state?
But that we're focusing on just those political parties that we know they are buying votes. There are other political parties that the candidates don't buy votes. The last election, APC gave us President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, PDP gave us somebody else, Labour gave us, and Biola's son was a president candidate for a different party. This man for SDP, I've forgotten his name, very erudite man, was for SDP. Why don't we vote for those people that at least they came up, they did not really monetize their primary? Why are we focusing on the major parties that keep corrupting? That's what I don't understand.
All right.
If SDP, the person that SDP got as Mr. Adewale also, signed and stuff, why didn't we vote for him? No. Why did we go to those major parties that we complain about? But when it comes to election, Mr. Bello, sorry, sir, we have this thing in Nigeria. They say you are wasting your vote. That's the idea. Why we are voting for somebody whose principles aligns with yours. But because it's not a major party, they will say don't waste your vote. And we will now vote for the people that we know they've corrupted the system. What do we expect?
All right, thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for this engagement. Thank you. In recent time, I also decided to gather some young persons, and I told them to do a research for me. There are so many small political parties with good ideas. How come they are not dominant parties? It's not just about what we say. There was a time there was this happiness that the Socialist Party was registered by INEC. But the Socialist Party has been deregistered. Despite the many socialists I see around, why did they allow that party to be deregistered? How come they did not win any elections? Don't worry, we are researching. But the point I make is that it will not continue like this. Something will happen. It is the story of soldiers of fortune. The Mama Vatsa Coup, author of the book Soldiers of Fortune, Max Hewlin, is on State Affairs. That tried Vatsa and the orders was headed by Major General Charles Ndiomu from Delta State. Do you think he was too personal in his verdict?
The thing is that being a coup tribunal chairman just puts officers in an excruciatingly difficult position. So Ndiomu was caught between the proverbial rock and hard place because you can't refuse. You're a military officer. That being given an appointment, it's not a choice. It's an order. You have to do it. It was difficult because he was acquainted and he knew and was friendly with both Babangida and Vatsa. So he was basically getting in the middle of their conflict. Number two, Vatsa's and Ndiomu's children went to the same school. That's the level of close relationship between Vatsa and Ndiomu. And three is, if it becomes clear that the government that appointed a coup tribunal chairman wants a particular outcome, wants a particular verdict, it can place pressure on the chairman to grant that verdict or otherwise risk endangering their own survival. So I think we have to give those, one, human relationship difficulties, and two, the political difficulties that Ndiomu was placed in as well. And then the other thing is that Ndiomu was, he wasn't like Babangida and some of the other officers, Abacha, etc. He wasn't infantry, he wasn't an armorer, so he wasn't, from the politicized wing, the combatant wing of the military. So he wasn't part of the scheming, and coup plots, etc. To some extent, he was an outsider.
He said, it is pretty clear to the tribunal that Major General Vatsa, the poet, and rich author and soldier, an intelligent man, knew what he was doing. Not only was he financing the plot, he was masterminding it. That was one of his verdict on the day. One thing that was special about the Vatsa coup is that, as you stated in your book, it was the first time that Air Force and Navy officers had been accused of coup plotting in Nigeria. Why were these men brought in? Was Babangida right that they were plotting to bomb Eko Bridge and bomb Dodat Barrack, where he lived?
One thing I noticed from researching these coup plots is that a lot of the accusations that were made against the suspects in the Vatsa coup plot in 85 were repeated 5 years later against what is called the Orca coup, but it's not actually Orca's coup, in 1990 as well. So there's two ways of looking at it, or at least two ways. One is it possible that two different groups of coup plotters who didn't know each other, or certainly maybe they knew each other but weren't close to each other, that they could both plot coups half a decade apart and both try to, blow up Echo Bridge, blow up Dodo and Barracks, blow up the same critical national infrastructure, etc. Both of them have exactly the same plan 5 years apart. Then the other strange thing is the intention of coup plotters is usually to displace the incumbent government so that they themselves can take over. Why would they attempt so much destruction, so much devastation, so that if the coup succeeded, they would be the one to inherit the rubble and the ruins and inherit the problem of the destroyed infrastructure that they created? It's a very, very strange thing, and which is one which I could not rationalize when I was doing the research for this book. And again, goes back to what I said. Remember that primarily we only heard one side of the story, the government side, and we rarely heard the defendant's side of the story.
Your first book, Oil Politics and Violence, Nigeria Military Coup Culture, also spoke about the military. What inspires you to carry out research on Nigeria's military?
Well, if you look at the first kind of 3 decades of Nigeria's history, the military was in power for nearly 30 years. So from 66 to 1993, they were in power for most of that time. So one is, if you don't write about the military, what else is there to write about? That's number one. Number two is, I always feel like Nigeria is a country where, to understand the present and the future, you have to look to the past. So many of the contemporary political crises and issues in Nigeria have their roots buried in the military rule years. Because the military ruled for so long, they are really the architects of the state, and they are the architects of really modern Nigeria, for better, for worse, good, bad, ugly, and so on, proverbially. So although Nigerians don't like to admit it, my own personal view is that the story of Nigeria is the story of its army.
For you?
Absolutely.
But you have written a book, What Britain Did to Nigeria, and your latest book is The Forgotten Era. Is that a story of the military?
No, it's not, because The Forgotten Era is about pre-colonial Nigeria. So, and I'll put pre-colonial Nigeria in inverted commas. This is before the British came, so there was no Nigeria. There was no military.
At the end of the day, Vatsa was sentenced to death. The poet was eventually executed. Before the execution, 3 great Nigerian writers visited Ibrahim Babangida to commute the sentences. Did Babangida really promise them that he was going to do something about it?
The death sentences were passed the convictions were in February 1986. And the following month, just before the executions were due to be carried out, the Association of Nigerian Authors appealed for clemency, and 3 great authors, you not named them, but it was Chinua Achebe, John Pepper Clark, and Wole Soyinka, personally visited Babangida to appeal for clemency and for the death sentences to be commuted. Now, they themselves believed that they had convinced Babangida to commute the sentences, and Babangida had told them, according to their accounts, that he would do his best. Now, obviously, Babangida was not the only person in the military government. He was the head of state, but he was not the only person in there. What the authors were probably not aware of were intra-military dynamics and the depth of animosity that often arises around coup plots. And they were also unaware about the number of military officers that harbored grievances against Vatsa because of his role in investigating a prior coup plot. So I think it was a case of them thinking, if they convince one man, the head of state, that's it, problem solved, and not realizing that Babangida himself also had to appeal to and satisfy various intra-military constituencies who disagreed with him about granting clemency.
But he was the commander-in-chief.
Yes, he was.
So if he had wanted to leave Vatsa, he would have done that without opposition.
No, it doesn't work that way. This is not, or at this stage of the military anyway, this wasn't one-man rule where the head of state just tells everybody what he wants to do and that's it, everybody falls in line. You have to remember, let's look at Nigerian history around coup plots and executions. The February 1976 coup had established a precedent that death, execution, that was the punishment for coup plotting in Nigeria. Then if we go 10 years back, or nearly 10, actually just over 10 years back, to the January 66 coup, look at what happened to Agui Ironsi when he delayed. He did not immediately put coup plotters on trial. He paid for it with his life. So on that occasion, he was murdered by junior officers and, other ranks. So if the head of state can be murdered by his own men for not immediately starting a coup trial and executing the coup plotters, why do we think that Babangida's case would be different a couple of decades later?
State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live.
the good part of this project is it's three-dimensional. We have engineers, supervising engineers from the Ministry of Works. Then we have private consulting engineers. And we now have the contractors on site. So it's a threefold thing. Even if Works is not doing it right or the contractor is not doing it right, the consulting engineer can always put a check to it. And that's a fantastic idea of project execution.
Thank you very much, my Honorable Commissioner. You have said the right thing. We as consultants, we are professionals, and we are highly experienced because we have handled similar projects and we have succeeded. And so we have been on this project since January 2024. Here we have made tremendous progress. And I think by the international standard, contractor is doing well, and we are putting a check into every of their use of materials, time, schedules, and also their performance. I think project is on course. A lot goes into the construction, starting from the investigation to determine the condition of the soil, and that will go into design of the foundation. And that's why you see the piers as big as 3 up to 4 feet diameter. Then also we are professionals. You don't just give bridge to anybody. Give it to those who are experienced, who have done many of such. So that's why Kribog, who has done so many, even outside of your state, so many states in Nigeria, and they have worked on it. And that's why we have the result there. It takes also concrete works. It takes also specific alignment. It takes also specific experience in dimension. Quite a number of reinforcements is in place. A number of quantity of concrete is there. And we also have other things pertaining to formwork and, precision in positioning of the bridge members. So they are there and it's very good. Usually when you design bridge, you design for 100 years. 100 years. But now it depends on the usage and also some natural disasters, which we may not see, like movement of soil, earthquake, which is not foreseen, can shake the foundation and can probably, reduce the year of performance. But usually 50 to 100 years is design life of a bridge.
Project manager. What's the name?
Amin.
Amin.
How is the project going?
It's going very well and we are on track. By God's grace, we will deliver on time. And we want to thank Oyo State and all the stakeholders for making us part of this dream. Thank you very much.
So what's the percentage of work done right now?
We are close to 75%.
75?
Yeah.
That's a good one. Thank you.
The machines are rumbling. Men at work. Construction ongoing. It is the Rashidi Ladoja Circular Road. You can hear the sounds of the machines. They are the sounds of progress. You can see the rolling. This is the toll plaza. This is the toll plaza under construction. The road will be tolled. And this is the construction of the toll plaza. The program is State Affairs on Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. So the lines are open. Let's hear from you. You're listening to Max Hewlin. It's about the state of the nation, politics and power history. 07069493000. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
You have to turn down the volume of your radio set.
I even leave the side. I'm very happy you picked the phone. For Nigeria problem to be solved, we have to put aside tribalism and ethnicism. If you look at the situation in this country, somebody was talking about the killing of the first coup plotter. How about the killing, the monstrous killing of Tafawa Balewa and Ugudipe? People should be realistic. I am sorry to say I may be tribalistic too. If you look at the present situation, I think the present president is the only one prepared for, what you call governance. He is really prepared and he has set his mind to know what Nigeria needs and is going to achieve it. But the problem we have is that we need 3 people to be probably butchered or assassinated in this country for Nigeria to move forward. I won't mention their names, but everybody knows them. May the Lord help Nigeria. Thank you, my dear brother. God bless your mission.
Those are strong words. No. You see, we've shed so much blood already. You see, in all this coup, the Mamman Vatsa coup that we are talking about, the brilliant officers that were executed? About 63 soldiers were executed in the Gideon Oka coup. Has that solved the problem? Ahmadu Bello was killed in 1966. Tafawa Balewa. There was a counter coup that took out Fajui, Aguyi Ironsi. Many Igbo officers were killed in Abeokuta and Ikeja barracks in the north. There was a civil war. Has it changed anything? Yes, there are times I feel, hey, we need to go hard. Something needs to happen. Yes, something needs to happen. But what is the form it will take? It must be guided by wisdom. Africa has become too volatile. Okay, Jerry Rawlings slaughtered them in Ghana. Are Ghana politicians still corrupt? So what? I'm raising questions. The lines are open. Good morning.
Good morning, Edmond. I like to back on air. Let me tell you, Edmond, that Gideon Okaku was the most thoroughly investigated. And I must confess to you, every soldier in Lagos, among whom I was, had to face identification parade. A private, a sergeant, a warrant officer, or a general. Every soldier in Lagos faced identification parade. And you continue to pray one night that one of those boys being tried do not say, I know him. Ordinarily, I know him, has implicated you. A number of innocent soldiers were implicated in that coup and were innocently executed. You see, Edmond, we don't want coup again in this country. We don't want it. I'm a soldier. When people start to cry, you guys during the government, people started to call for coup. I told my family and friends that military government is not government. They say, and yes, I said, yes, it's not government. And at the end of it, they all regretted. They agree with me. We don't want coup again in this country. Whatever the politicians are doing, I believe in criticizing them, in talking about them, exposing them, than bullshitting people. Thank you very much, Edmond. God bless you.
Thank you. Biorex is saying, Edmund, you talked about pipe bomb water, and it triggered grievance in me. To me, our government did not have the citizens' interest in mind. Still in my 30s, sir, and I met pipe bomb water then, and good electricity. Electricity has never been good if you are still 30. 39, nah. It has never been good. Perhaps it was better than now, but it has never been good. I don't know why we can't fix it. I don't know why. Okay, I know why, but let's skip it. Adelaku Adeyemi, I can see you here. Yes. Join the discourse. Leave your message. The lines are open. 070-694-93000. Good morning.
Hello?
Good morning.
Good morning again. It's still Olasupo JK. Well done, my brother.
Thank you.
I just want to add again that this issue of coups, the killings, all these things, it is about the might is right. Let's say the might was right in those days. Because once you are succeeded, you become, you originally, you garner legitimacy. But once you failed, and you are condemned to death. So most of those people who led coups and succeeded in those days, I think they are equally guilty. Those people who disturbed our democracy. Talk of 1983 to 76. Look at what we had earlier. We had regional governments. All those people truncated all those things. And look at the agitation for states. A non-existent state, a very weak state they created. Look at it. So most of them, they are culpable. And unfortunately, they are the one in our political circles today. They are the big ones. Either they are octogenarian or this or that. Our younger ones too, they still patronize them for support. And that is the accident of it all. Thank you.
Thank you. They are still there. Yes, they have a right to be there. It's a competition for space. So are you creating your own space? Are you mobilizing? Are you organizing? Are you thinking to create a competing platform? Good morning.
Good morning.
Your name and where are you calling from?
Hello. Hello, Edmund.
Good morning.
Good morning. This is Chief from Oyo.
Good to hear
we
your
don't
voice.
Need bloodshed again. What we need is to curb insecurity and corruption. Majority of people don't agree with me. We must suspend the rule of law and fundamental human rights so that we get to the roots of corruption and insecurity. A month ago, 13 people were beheaded in Saudi Arabia. 2 for terrorists and 11 for drug poisoning. Some of their rules have been suspended and they are making it. In China, former chairman CBN with their own central bank. I don't know whether he has been assisted now. All this will not help us. Judiciary will be in court for 10, 15 years. They now say technical problem occur. They will discharge people that we know that have our money in law. We don't need coup, but we must suspend the rule of law and fundamental human rights. Have a nice time. God bless you.
Hello, don't go.
Yes, sir.
So you are calling for totalitarianism, dictatorship?
No, it's not totalitarian. People were killed in Katsina State. Declare state of emergency. Enter all the bush. Our forest, the law says don't stay there.
Wait,
don't farm, don't
let's get something clear. You want the suspension of the rule of law
for security and corruption.
That is equal to dictatorship. Don't run away from it.
No, come. In Saudi Arabia, I don't dictate.
Yes, that's a dictatorship now. That's absolute monarchy.
But come now, Edmond.
Is there a parliament in Saudi Arabia?
There's no, but they are enjoying.
Which enjoyment?
Come, Edmond.
Have you been there?
I have not been there.
You know, sometimes we just read that they are enjoying. Yes, Saudi Arabia, they are doing well. Oh. I'm not saying they are not doing well. But would you rather be in Saudi Arabia or Nigeria?
No, I'm a Christian. I will not go to Saudi Arabia.
No, you have to go there. You have to go there.
If I'm a Muslim, I will go there. Edmond, all these problems we have. Now, somebody stole our money. They now said he now went to the court for injunction. For 10, 15 years, they don't treat his case.
That is the rule of law.
Rule of law that somebody, some people have been killed on our road. That somebody stole the money. Our children are sitting down on their ground in our schools.
I know what you're talking about.
Edmond, let me tell you on my own case.
Okay.
I was mismanaged by a teaching hospital. I'm still on it. I spend more money, millions of naira on my health. Not corruption. People are suffering. Our children are suffering.
All right.
People are dying on the road. There's no drug in the hospital. Our children are not getting education they're supposed to get.
All right.
People are not saying rule of all the fundamental human rights.
All right.
Have a nice time. God bless you.
All right. I understand the point he's making. You know, sometimes when citizens go through hardship, they pray for the extreme measure. Every extreme measure has its counter narratives and implications. Take note. If you launch a revolution in Nigeria today, violent revolution, well, yes, you might pull down the guys in leadership, but it will take you another 10 or 11 years to get yourself in order. Because as you pull down the old leadership now, then the new leadership, they will now start what you call struggle for power. And that is to now keep that leadership. That is why after most revolutions, you produce a dictator. Because that's the only way he can maintain that leadership. Okay? We have seen enough violence, enough killings. If you suspend the rule of law, you will be suspending broadcasting. That means the president can wake up and say, I don't want to hear his voice again. And nobody will question it. That's what happens. Then you will now kill voices. You see, I would rather be in Nigeria than be in Saudi Arabia. When the corruption in Saudi Arabia is hellish. Just that, they have a way of distributing the money to build good roads, good hospitals. Remember when Bin Salman came in, he's ruling on behalf of his dad at the moment. Yes, he will eventually get there because the father is old. You know what he did immediately he came in? He arrested the top billionaires in Saudi Arabia. They didn't know. He invited them for a party in one of the best hotels. This young guy there, Bin Salman, have you read about him? That is why I say read. We need to read. If I'm able to get 1% of persons to key into what I'm doing, 1%, you see what will happen. He rounded them off that day. He locked them in that hotel for more than a week. They were all vomiting the money. Now, the ones he didn't like, he took them out. He eliminated them. When you call about dictatorship, you don't know the implication. You don't know the implication. Anything that will take my voice away, I will resist it. The rule of law can be improved upon. The court processes are slow. We can improve them. That's the point I'm making. And we can hasten court processes. Yes, we can. I don't want dictatorship. That is my view. I also respect your view. Max Yulun on State Affairs. Was Babangida Machiavellian?
Can you unpack that for me? What do you mean by that?
You know, some have called him Maradona, some have called him evil genius. Did he deceive Chinua Achebe, Soyinka, and J.P. Clark?
No, I don't think he did. So in the lead up, just a few days before that, the execution of Vatsa and the other suspects, I know we're discussing these three authors, but they were not the only people who appealed to Babangida for clemency. Several people came to him and asked him to commute the sentences, and I think personally he wanted to. Babangida's own wife, Mariam, even appealed to him for clemency, and he wanted to. So she even tried to get a note to him while the AFRC, the Armed Forces Ruling Council, was discussing the verdicts. There's also another Babangida aide, a civilian, who said that Babangida actually asked him to go to the Bible, to go to the Quran, and find passages about mercy and clemency in those religious books. So, and again, this was just before the execution. So very, very clearly, Babangida was moving or was personally in favor of clemency. But again, he had to keep his own men happy. There were those who said, look, the precedent has been set in 1966. If you plot a coup against the government, you must be executed. We cannot have an exception here. And the only reason why you are gravitating towards mercy is because your best friend is involved. So to some extent, he had to accede to their demands to demonstrate that he was not showing bias and nepotism in this particular coup simply because he didn't want his best friend executed.
Perhaps you are referring to the Plateau bloc in the military. What was good for Dinka should be good for Vatsa.
Exactly. So I mentioned obliquely before that Vatsa had a controversial role in the prior coup plots. So during the investigation of the 1976 coup, he was the secretary of the board of inquiry that investigated that 1976 coup. Now, as a result of those investigations of that board that he was the secretary of, several people from the Middle Belt, especially Plateau State, or what was then Benue Plateau State, were prosecuted and executed. So obviously, officers from that part of the country were not Vatsa's biggest fans, and argued that, well, look, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. This is the standard that was applied to our brothers, people from our part of the country. So you did exactly the same thing as them, so the punishment should be the same.
But they forgot that in this case, Dimka and Co. carried out the coup. In the case of Vatsa, we are talking about planning of a coup.
You're absolutely right. We probably have to get legalistic on this one. General Danjuma Bak, who was the chief of army staff when the 1976 coup occurred, he had argued that, look, there is no distinction between you plotting to stage a coup, you being aware of the coup and not reporting it. And we have to remember, a lot of the people that were convicted and executed in the Vatsa coup, it wasn't because they actually plotted, that they didn't even take part in the coup. It was because they knew about it and did not inform the authorities. So again, 1976 has set the precedent that, look, there are no, there's no differentiation of categories in a coup plot. If you take part, if you meet, if you know about it, you're all the same. All of you are coup plotters, and the punishment is the same for all of you. So at that, this is 1980s Nigeria. nobody was interested in the military in those status differentials. All of them were deemed back then equally guilty.
You remember the statement by Bamidele? He had reported a coup plot to his boss, Buhari, who detained him. So when the Vatsa coup came up, perhaps he was telling himself, once bitten, twice shy. If I reported this now, what happens to me? You told that story in your book.
Yeah, and it was very, very tragic. And for the benefit of your listeners who maybe are not familiar with this story, there was Major Bamidele, who was an army officer, and in 1983, he heard about the coup plot. And he did exactly what army officers back then were expected to do, which is to report it to his commander. Now, unfortunately, the people he reported it to, unbeknown to him, were the people who were planning said coup plot. So they ended up detaining him. So fast forward a couple of years, he again hears about the coup plot, and he's on the fence about whether or not to report it this time, because he thinks to himself, well, the last time I opened my mouth and reported a coup plot, the people I reported to were among the plotters, and what happened to me? I got punished for opening my mouth and reporting it. You know what? This time I don't want to get involved. I'm not saying a word. Unfortunately, this time the coup failed, and very, very tragically, he was executed, even though nobody alleged that he was among the core planners. It was just he was executed for concealment of treason, i.e. not reporting the coup. So these are some of the really, really tragic things that can happen when you have a military dictatorship in power, and military regimes are so preoccupied with survival that they have to be totally ruthless to discourage rebellions and to discourage future coup plots against them.
To emphasize the point you just made, I want to read the statement by Chinua Achebe, Wole Soyinka, and J.P. Clark on page 89 of your book. Without being superstitious, we cannot but observe how a 10-year cycle of bloodletting appears to have become an incubus on the very life of the nation's armed forces. 1966, 1976, and 1986. You possess the will to break these jinx. You have the moral duty to exercise that will. The truth is unavoidable. The very persistence of this circle shows only too clearly that that has never proven a deterrent for men determined on seizing power. They were right?
I'm gonna sit on the. I'm gonna be a fence sitter on this one, and I'll defer to the criminologists among us. There's a massive body of literature out there and psychological research about whether the death penalty is truly a deterrent, and it's inconclusive. And I'm not arrogant enough to think that I have the answer to that question. That's been troubling psychologists and criminologists for decades and decades and decades. All I will say is that I'll pose a rhetorical question, which is there an issue of accountability in Nigerian society?
State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live.
For the full interview with Mark Sulun, subscribe to my YouTube channel. We'll upload the full interview. He is the author of Soldiers of Fortune, so I recommend the book to you. Another book that will tell you about the military is Fellow Countrymen, The Story of Coup d'etats in Nigeria by Richard Akinola. Then you have Exploitation and Instability in Nigeria, The Oka Coup in Perspective. And we'll have A Journey in Service, an autobiography by Ibrahim Babangida. You can find these books on udarabooks.com. udarabooks.com. You can also order them through my WhatsApp number, 080 18 184449. 080 That's my WhatsApp number. Thank you for being there. Next week is another time on State Affairs. I am Edmondo Bilo.